What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Thompson Twins, and we're returning to Big Trash 1989. Thank you as always to Phil for providing this deep dive. And the next track in the playlist is amusingly titled Salvador Dali's Car. So Salvador Dali, a surrealist artist of the 20th century, he was Spanish, he lived through the Civil War, and to my estimation, he unfortunately, as far as I can remember, was sort of publicly supportive of the Francoist regime. Nevertheless, he produced some enduring artistic works. I think of The Persistence of Memory maybe more than any other, with the sort of melting clocks and so on. But admittedly, I don't know too much about his biography outside of what I just mentioned, and if there is some specific reference happening here, if there was some automobile of his, or if this is a phrase that predates this song, I'm not familiar with it. So I would expect more likely this is particular to this song, but maybe there's a cheeky take on some actual aspect of his personal history, or his cultural history. In any case, I'll see what I can catch on a first listen. This is Thompson Twins. The track is Salvador Dali's Car, and it's from their 1989 album Big Trash.
Brand new
fascinating. So, lyrically, I don't quite know what to make of it. At first, and indeed, like right after I started the track, I had this thought that, oh, like, Big Trash, the theme of the album, maybe it's the idea that we take these material objects, which in of themselves are no different than others that were made in the same context or at the same time, but then we imbue them with significance because of who owned them, and it's, we end up prizing them as if they're not material objects like any other car of the same make and model. And maybe it'll, extrapolate beyond Salvador Dali's car, and I'll talk about, again, other items which shouldn't have any special intrinsic value, but which, again, because we associate them with celebrities or certain people, then suddenly, we covet them and they become collector's items and so on. But I don't think it's doing that at all. And so then there's the line about, he's lying in the gutter, which you tend to only do that if you're not in a clear state of mind, or if you don't have your wits about you, if you are inebriated or indeed incapacitated. So it sounds like someone who's maybe been intoxicated. And then I think the next line is something like shooting up. At first I thought it was sauce, which, okay, so that could be an overt drug reference. But then I was shooting up at the stars, maybe he was saying, which would still suggest someone who's not thinking about where they actually are. Because again, if you lying in the street is one thing. And again, you might do that because you're just, in an urban environment, but you want to look up at the stars or whatever. But lying in a gutter, that's where, drain water and, filth, if you will, that's where that flows. So you wouldn't choose to be in the gutter unless, again, you weren't in a normal state of mind, and or you're not even aware, of where you are. So, whether it's shooting up in a drug sense or shooting up, flat on your back in the gutter looking at the stars, it sounds like someone who's in this, reverie and who's not paying attention to their real situation, their real environment around them. And then, okay, so if he is high, so to speak, then the idea of, he's in Salvador Dali's car, it's this day, waking dream, this, drug-fueled dream, and maybe the car is not getting very far because he's not actually driving in a car. He's having this weird, cognitive experience that, is delimited by where he actually is. He's not moving fast, he's not actually driving. So, his brain is sort of aware that, what should be happening if he really were in a car. It's all very surrealist, and maybe that's the point, again, a famous surrealist artist. So I don't really know, what's happening here, but it sounds like someone who's in this, delusional, dreamy state, but we get a sense of where they actually are, which is not where you want to be. And, maybe the idea of, you're having these dreams of grandeur, but in fact you're not in a great way or a position. So maybe that could relate to the idea of Big Trash. I really don't know how to take it, but it's very intriguing. It's a fun tune sonically, not super standout. It's not one that, ultimately distinguishes itself relative to some of the other ones of theirs I've liked a lot. But there's nothing offensive about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It has an energy to it. It's got some cool percussion flourishes at the very end that I was noticing, as well as that wild keyboard run as it started to fade out. I think Tom sounds good on the vocals. Again, not his most powerful or, intense vocal delivery, but, just in the right range for the song's atmosphere overall. So, yeah, an intriguing one lyrically, a totally good one sonically, and I am very keen to hear what people have to say about this one, because I just don't know how to interpret it on a first listen. So, let me know, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.